Welcome back to the Haven Homestead Podcast, where we learn and grow together on our way to living more sustainable lives. My name is Chris, and this is episode 35. And today we're going to be talking about, is prepping prudence or paranoia? See, there's a lot of media attention on this, at least there was in the past few years, and so I want to talk a little bit about whether being prepared or prepping, getting things ready, is prudent or is it just being paranoid? But before we get into that, I'd like to remind you about our website at havenhomestead.com, where you can see pictures of our homestead and the classes that we have coming up. We just had a class last Saturday and had 6 students come to it. They were going to have 8, but we had 6, and it went really well, and it seemed like they really had a good time, and we all learned a lot. Also, please consider supporting us at www.patreon.com/havenhomestead, and there you can support the show and keep it going for as little as $1 a month. And now, a word from our sponsor. Take it away, Lindsay.
Vic Zatteray and his team at Happy Leaf LED are changing the way growers think about grow lights. Happy Leaf LED is no-joke lighting technology that really works. The lights are affordable, powerful, and efficient. With their Anywhere, Anytime garden kits, they'll change the way you think about hydroponics, too. For more information on Happy Leaf LED, go to happyleafled.com. You'll be happy you did.
Well, thanks, Lindsay. Now we're going to get into the topic at hand, which is prepping prudence or paranoia? So, prepping is kind of a catchphrase for getting prepared for something. And if you've ever watched the TV show Doomsday Preppers, they talk about on there what they're prepared for. And some people are prepared for EMPs or nuclear war or natural disaster and stuff like that. So I'm going to talk a little bit about both sides of the fence or something, because it seems like the media or the TV shows want to find the extreme because it's entertaining. So they want to find the people who go to the extreme and interview them and kind of put the spotlight on these people, when there are a lot of people that are doing this on a much lower key basis, and I'm just going to kind of cover both sides a little bit. So prudence, or to be prudent, is acting with, this is according to the dictionary, acting with or showing care and thought for the future. Okay? And then paranoia is unreasonably or obsessively anxious, suspicious, or mistrustful. Also, some synonyms are fearful or insecure. So with that, I want to talk a little bit about being prudent. We have to prepare for, it's important, I think, to prepare for things that could happen. So when you think about preparing, you should take the most likely thing that could happen and prepare for that, rather than one of the least likely things to happen. So, for instance, on Doomsday Preppers, they say, I'm preparing for an EMP strike. Now, it could happen, but I've never seen an EMP strike. No one I know has ever seen an EMP bomb or anything go off. I find that as not something that I need to be preparing for above other things. Now, as you get prepared, as you get yourself prepared for things that happen, like, for instance, a tire goes flat on the road. So being prepared would be taking your jack with you, or having a spare tire that's filled, and you would check the spare tire every month or something, just knock on it and make sure that it still has air in it, so that if you do get a flat tire, you can easily fix it. or at least put the spare tire on and get to the tire shop. That is something that very well could happen. And I've had a flat tire before. You've probably had a flat tire before. You know someone who's had a flat tire. That is something that you should prepare for. Another thing would be someone losing their job. I know people who's lost jobs. I've changed jobs before. I've never been fired, but I've kind of jobs ran out, and now you have to scramble to look for another one. Another one could be a car breakdown. If you're driving down the road and all of a sudden something happens on the car, the transmission goes out, or 100 different things, that it's important to be prepared to, have a cell phone with you so you can call a tow truck, or you can call your insurance, or you can call a friend that can give you a ride back to home or something like that. Being prepared for an emergency like that, I think, is essential and prudent. Another one I wanted to bring up was a power outage. We did a couple episodes on power outages, and that happens all the time. And with the aging power grid we have right now, power outages are more and more frequent, which means that we need to be more and more prepared for them and ready with a blackout kit. And we'll talk a little bit about that. And also right now, here it is October 16th, 2017, and just recently some huge hurricanes have hit the east coast of the United States and the Caribbean and Puerto Rico, and have just devastated the islands. And we've had some earthquakes down in Mexico, and there's been just a lot of damage and lives lost. And so natural disasters is something that I think that you should prepare for, the natural disaster that's most likely to happen in your area, whether that be flooding or tropical storms or earthquakes or whatever that may be. And some of the things that I think that are kind of silly to prepare for, but as my wife brought up earlier, if you're prepared for, say, the zombie apocalypse, then you will probably be prepared for everything else. I don't really see how having, like a gun turret on top of your roof is going to help with a hurricane, but just being, I would say, just try to keep in mind what's most likely to happen and prepare for that. Now, one of the first steps in being prudent, and that's what I want to use is a prudent preparedness, because it's really easy to get excited about this, like in the wrong way, like scared and fearful, and going out and spending a bunch of money on things that you don't need, on things that are just fancy looking but aren't really necessary. It's important not to try to break the bank. So Lindsay wrote in havenhomestead.com, you can go into the blog, and she wrote a little Prepper's Manifesto, and it's entitled Prepping Should Not Be Fear-Driven, a Prepper's Manifesto. And the very last paragraph is what I want to read to you right now. To the preppers of the world, and anyone who knows a prepper, here is my request. Stop spreading fear and fear alone. Start sharing the peace-filled mindset that comes from living the fullest life possible. If you haven't got there yet, get there. If you come to prepping from a place of fear, you must quickly reorient yourself towards something positive. The result of focusing on the negative is a solitary and fearful existence. Prepping should come from a place of faith and should be for the purpose of creating peace. Let us all create peaceful havens in which we can weather the storms of life together. If you do the prepping right, if you start prepping, and I'm just going to use the word prepping because that's the one that's easiest to remember and use. If you start prepping right now, preparing for whatever the case may be that you think is most likely to happen in your life, there are some things that I think that it's important that it's important to do. One is to become organized. You need to think about what assets you already have and how you can use those to further your goal of being prepared and having the peace of mind that comes from knowing that you are prepared for something. So if you're going to be preparing for power outages, like where we live, winter's almost here, and we have power outages. So we have flashlights and headlamps and candles and lanterns that we can turn on, we can light when the power goes out. We know where they're at, and the lanterns are fueled up, and the candles are handy. We know where the lighters are at. We don't have to scramble around in the dark if the power goes out. So organize your gear and take stock of it. Organize what you have, and put together a kit. If you have to buy a few things, then so be it. But really try not to break the bank, as I said earlier. There's a lot of fancy gizmos and gadgets out there that are just not prudent to have. They're shiny and they look real slick, but you can do just as well with something that is a little more normal. You should make a kit for, like I said, blackouts, or make a car kit and have some jumper cables in it. You can buy these car kits, they're not very expensive, with jumper cables and a flare or a flashlight, maybe a jump starter battery, or things like that. Maybe a little air compressor so you can pump up a flat tire. These things will help you. Also, I think one of the most important things in this is to stay focused. And one of the most important attributes is to stay focused on what your goal is. Don't get distracted by doing a little bit of prep for this and a little bit of prep for that and a little bit, and never actually get prepped for one of your things. So only have a couple things in your blackout kit. That's better than nothing, but having an entire blackout kit set up and where it's going to be, I think is going to be very useful to someone who wants to be prepared. Having your car breakdown kit stocked and ready to go and in the car, I think will be a big help to a lot better help than halfway built or built but in the house and then your car breaks down while and it's still at your house. I know that in every website, so I just put in earlier main reasons to prep or something like that, top reasons to prep or something like that. And the websites I got were all, what are the first things to run out when the the world ends, or what are the best guns to have when the world ends, or what are the all these different things that make it look scary. And I realize that scariness sometimes is the thing that people need to help them get going. However, I really think that if you want to have your family taken care of, which everyone does, everyone wants to take care of their family and make sure that they're comfortable and happy and not scared, is get your stuff together, get your I don't want to say act together because that sounds kind of condescending. Try to be like that mom that you get to, you're after you've gone swimming or something and you're just way hungry and no one thought about bringing any food. And she says, oh, well, I have a couple granola bars in my purse here. She was prudently prepared for, if she needed a snack, probably because she had little kids. And that is exactly what I'm talking about being prepared. I always keep a little pocket knife with me. If you have a job or you are, in school, or if there's something that keeps you from keeping a pocket knife on you, then don't do it. But for me, I live in the country and I work, kind of a construction job, so it's not a big deal for me to have keep a pocket knife with me, but I always keep a pocket knife, and I don't know how many times that has come in handy, or a Leatherman multi-tool on my belt, and I don't know how many times that's been needed, and it was a good thing I had it. I was prepared, prudently prepared for something like this to happen, because you never know what's going to happen, and if it's happening and you're not ready, then you're going to be in a bad situation. Well, this is the last piece of advice I have, and I just want to reiterate Lindsay's message, is this does not need to be fear-driven. I say that prepping, if you're doing it for the right reason, and that is to make your family more resilient to the everyday crises that may happen, is definitely prudence and not paranoia. And I know that if you prepare, if you strive to be more prudent and more resilient, that with calamity comes upon your family, you will not be afraid. You will not be scared, and you will not only not be scared, but you will be able to help other people that didn't make those preparations ahead of time. I also want to remind you to, once again, to please go check out our website, havenhomestead.com. And I gave a homework assignment a couple weeks ago, and that was to go on to our website at havenhomestead.com and comment on your favorite episode, or comment on episode 33 about what your favorite episode was. You can comment anytime. I get emailed with the comment, and just tell me what your favorite episode was and what city and state you live in, so that I can get an idea as to where you live at, because I want to be able to help you and give you specific information to help you live a more sustainable life. Well, this has been another edition of the Haven Homestead Podcast, where we learn and grow together on our way to living more sustainable lives. Thanks for listening.